All right, everybody, and thank you for joining me for another episode in our long-running series, the Fliplogic Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Ryan Kirk. This episode and this show, it's a 1 hour format of Q&A and screen share, where I take your questions and answer them either just here over some dialogue, or if you have a lead or a deal or something that you want that you want me to go over, then I can pull it up on screen share and we can really deep dive into it that way. And I'll tell you a little bit about what I've got going on today and this week, and recap of what I've been doing over the last week to kind of help you guys develop and come up with your own questions. And then if you would use the control panel there to the Q&A portion, and you can get your questions in that way, and I'll answer them in the order that they're received, and we'll run for 1 hour or until all questions are exhausted, whatever comes first. So I'll tell you guys a little bit about myself for those who are new, and then that'll give you guys an opportunity to get your questions in the Q&A chat box there. So for those of you who don't know me or who are just getting to know me, my name's Ryan Kirk. I'm a real estate investor. I live in Marina Del Rey, California. A fun fact about me is I'm a liveaboard, which means that I actually live on a boat, or my friends say I live on 5 feet of boat, and they say I live on 50 foot of boat and 5 feet of yacht, because actually yacht is technically anything that's over 50 feet, and I live on a 55 foot boat. It sounds extravagant, but it really is a modest 55 foot boat. I bought it just like I buy houses. I bought it at a discount. It was a fixer. I bought it, fixed it up, and I got a liveaboard permit and live on a boat. So I really enjoy the lifestyle of that, and I use it not only as a boat to take out, but I actually use it as a home and a home office. So you can imagine, all the different ways that I get to write it off, because of using it for, the space up here on the deck. I use it as a studio to film some things. So I get to write off this area. And then I also use downstairs, I use as a home office. So pretty cool being able to do that. So if you're inspired to maybe do the same thing, there you go. My folks inspired me when they started living aboard, and I thought, that's pretty cool, because I actually lived on their boat for about 30 days when I was doing a rehab out of town down in San Diego, and I needed a place to stay to film the pilot that we did on that project, and to keep from, having to do a 2 hour, which would have been a 4 hour or like a 5 hour commute back and forth. So that's kind of what inspired that. Let's see. I'm also a mobile home park investor. I buy, fix, and hold mobile home parks. There's an acronym that I use in my book. It's called BRRR, and BRRR, it actually stands for buy, rehab, buy, repair, rent, and then refinance. So folks apply that to houses. It's a really great strategy to apply to my favorites, mobile home parks, over apartments, because you get some accelerated depreciation that you don't get with apartments. Apartments, you can depreciate like a house over a 27.5 year schedule. Mobile home parks, you get accelerated depreciation. Instead of 27.5 years, which is almost 30 years, you get to depreciate it over 15 years. Pretty cool, because for those of you who don't know, depreciation is basically a fictional loss that you get to put on your tax return or your profit and loss statement. So if you're only getting a $30,000 a year write-off with an apartment building, you get a $60,000 write-off with a mobile home park, and that goes on there and it offsets your income. So pretty cool stuff. It's basically tax-free money that way. So so that's a little bit about me and I want to tell you a little bit about what I've had going on this week, and then I'd like to see if we've got any questions from you folks out there in TV land. I am, let's see, this last week, as far as mobile home park business goes, this mobile home park that I bought is 89 units, and I'm getting close to my cash out refinance. I'm getting close to full occupancy. It's taken me longer than what I was expecting it would do. I thought I was going to turn around the park faster than I thought I was going to do it in a year. It's been about a year and a half. So that's the good, as far as the good, bad, and the ugly. I'm 18 months in, and I think it's going to happen at the beginning of this summer, June. So I'm probably going to be about 20 months in before being able to do that. So whatever, it ran a little longer than what I thought, but that's just the way it goes. As far as some of the challenges, I've learned so many things about being a mobile home park landlord. It's definitely a different animal than I think apartments. But you get really great people, and then you get some others that I think, as with any business, who just challenge you, and they try to pull every trick in the book. I slip and fall. I hurt myself. So that's the bad side of it. The good side of it, though, is if they own their own home, you're not going to encounter that. If you sell them back on rent to own, you're not going to encounter that either, which is what I do, because they have to maintain and repair their own home, and then they also indemnify you of all damages, injuries, and things like that. I bring this up because it just happened to me this morning, where somebody, and it always happens when they're behind on rent. Now all of a sudden they try to pull every angle, every trick of the book to throw you back on your heels, to put you on defense. When I went back to them with, hey, it's either you pay or you go, and you can go see a doctor, you can go see a lawyer. Just make sure to take your rent to own agreement with you, because it spells everything out in there. After that, it was, oh, hey, it was all a big misunderstanding. I'm so sorry. It's going to be in on the 3rd, which is Wednesday. So, okay. As far as like single family business goes, Fliplogic is it's single family driven, wholesaling driven. As far as I've had some big projects that I'm working on right now that I'm firming up. Typically, when you put a property under contract, you do not need to have a contractor meet you over there. You're going to send it out to cash buyers in the area. They're going to go take a look at it, either themselves or with their contractor, and then they're going to know what their numbers are. They'll firm them up in 24 to 48 hours, and then they're going to give you a price. Hopefully it's going to match up with the price that you're asking, because you did all your numbers correctly. You did your ARV correctly, and you did your repair costs, when you're using a price per square foot assumption, but you do that correctly. And then hopefully you guys are on the same page. If you have multiple buyers who want it, then you can ask everybody for highest and best, try to push the price up. If you're off on your numbers and they say they need it for less, and they give you that price, but that's the price they're willing to sign an assignment agreement or purchase contract on, and they're ready to wire non-refundable deposit, well, then you know where your buyer's at, and you can tell the price that you have it under contract for, if you have a margin. If you don't, then you can always ask the seller for a price reduction to get the price down, so you have your margin. So your investor is almost like a partner. You're leveraging based off of their decision of what price they can move it at. So they're giving you that extra validation or extra confirmation, because they're your exit out of the deal, right? They're the ones who are paying the max rehab price on our analysis. because the max rehab price, if you're going to rehab it, that's the most you should pay for the rehab price, right, of what you should buy it at. If you're going to wholesale it, that's, again, the max rehab price is the most that someone should pay for it if they're going to rehab it. So the less that you have it for, you know, the initial cash offer price or the max cash offer price in Fliplogic, you know, those are your starting offers of where you want to be. So you can create a margin if you're going to wholesale it, because if you're going to wholesale it, you got to wholesale it to a rehabber who's going to pay the max rehab price. Sun's going down a little further, and it's in my eyes. So I hope this is all good content. I hope you guys can hear me. If you can hear me, or if this is good content, you know, feel free to, you know, drop me a line in the Q&A box so I know that, you know, we're on the right track. And then, of course, please start getting your questions in there so I can get to those here when we break into those. I've been working on a big deal down in Newport on Lido Island that we've got under contract, and we've got a few bids on that, because that's one that we're looking to. We may joint venture on that one with one of our investment partners. I don't know. We may wholesale it, but the at the end of the day on that, if you are going to rehab a property, since we're considering doing that, you do want to get bids from contractors. So I have gone ahead and gotten 3 to 4 bids on that, and we are we're getting pretty close. We're going to have our last bid tonight, may come in tomorrow, and then we'll be able to see how all our numbers look, and then decide how we're going to approach it. Either we're going to go for it. It's a huge one, or we're gonna just wholesale it. So we'll see how that goes. I know last week one of our members, Mayan, he had a pretty exciting deal on a fire damaged property that he found. He found it off market, and he found it just from driving around his neighborhood, saw that it was a junker property, you know, a fixer in his neighborhood, and talked to some of the neighbors, and then went ahead and skip traced, I know this last week, for the owner's information. And an easy way to do that is, obviously he wanted to see who was the owner on title. One way to do that, and I'll actually pull up my screen share here. Let me do that. So man, I'm gonna need my sunglasses here. So if I type in, you could go to the county website. It's also good that you get hooked in with a title company. And this is, I use Tycor Title, and then they'll have a web portal like this, like tycorpropertydata.com. And then I can log in, I can put in the property address, and I can see who the owner is on title. And then I can do what's called a skip trace. And a skip trace is basically like you could do like a whitepages.com. Whitepages.com is a skip trace. They have a skip trace feature. There's lots of them out there. Intellius.com. I mean, the list goes on, but as far as a skip trace, you know, you could just use White Pages Premium, and then look them up, see who the owner is on title, or what their contact info is, and then proceed to call them and let them know, hey, I saw the property over on such and such street. You know, it looked like it had some fire damage. You know, I'm a real estate investor. I'm interested in buying it. Wanted to reach out and see if you're the owner and if you'd be interested in selling. So hold on one second. All right, sorry guys, I'm not going to try to be too cool here. I'm going to actually put on some sunglasses because the sun's going down, and I'm not going to be able to look at the screen without sunglasses. Okay, so let's check out the chat box here. Mayan says BenVerified.com works best in his opinion. That's cool. Been Verified, I've never used it. I know there's lots of resources. If that's working well for you, then go for it. Yep, that's what I want. All right. Okay. So BenVerified.com. So that's something you guys want to use, do that. And again, these property profiles, these portals, they're free. You just need to choose a title company that's in your area, connect with a title rep, or connect with their customer service and ask them who is the title rep in your zip code. And then that way you can get set up with them so you can pull these property profiles for free, because they're really helpful. If you happen to be a licensed real estate agent, then they're built into the MLS, your MLS subscription. But if you're not, then this is the way to go. Okay. With that being said, is there anything you guys want to talk about specifically? Does anybody have any specific questions to lead where they want to go with this Q&A? Because I definitely want to work with the questions that you guys have. So as far as like from a lead generation standpoint, I mentioned Mayan's deal there. The off market is by far, if you watch the training at the training, the acquisition training that's actually in the classroom. If you haven't seen it, it's down over here. Classroom, training courses. And then you can go to acquisition trading. What is a great deal and how to make an offer. If you go there and you watch any of these case studies, I've got about 40 case studies here. And I go over, where the lead was found in all of those. But if you review the lead generation element or portion in the acquisition training or go through these case studies, by far the biggest margins that you're going to find and see as far as like the biggest profit margin deals is anything that's exclusive, anything that's off market that nobody else knows about. So whether that's pulling a list, like a direct mail list, and you can pull a list from, here's 3 sources that you could pull, motivated seller lists from. And then if you were to send out a letter like this, and this is a proven letter, this is what I've used and I still use to generate, big margin deals. And you could print them off and send them out yourself, or you could just have yellowletters.com do it. You just buy a list, upload the list, upload your letter template or copy and paste and upload that. And you can have them send them out for you at about 65 cents a piece. Your phone will ring, and those will be some of the most exclusive deals that you can find. You just want to make sure that, you're sending them to a good list, like a motivated seller list of some sort, whether they're pre-foreclosure, which is notice of default or notice of trustee sale, or maybe divorce or property tax default. Bankruptcies can be a little sticky. I stay away from those. And probate and notice of death certificate, those are good too. So if you're which are like inheritance, right? Probate, notice of death certificate, people pass away all the time, people inherit property all the time, and what do they do with those properties? They usually just want to turn them. They usually just want to get rid of them because now somebody has to pay the mortgage, pay the property tax, and they've got to pay the insurance, and they need to secure the property, and they typically just want to dump it, turn around and get rid of it. So a letter campaign is good. Driving for dollars is good. And then, of course, your lowest hanging fruit is going to be online, like your for sale by owner on Zillow or Craigslist. But yes, definitely your off-market stuff is the most exciting stuff. So I hope that's helpful. All right. So let's see. Mayan says, can you walk us through printing out and uploading this particular letter? So yes, I can. So you're not going to print this out. Obviously, this is a template, right? But if you go to yellowletters.com, yellowletters.com has, and it's literally as simple as going here. You can choose letters, and then it will just walk you through. It'll walk you through a portion where you can actually fill it out and type up a letter. There's a place here. I think it's yellow letters. So let's do yellow letters. And on their yellow letters here, sun's getting a little more bearable. So they got standard postage, first class postage. I'm just going to go to create your own. And then create your own, so you can customize your own letter. That's what you want to do. You can choose you can choose one of these if you want. And I know they've got one at 65 cents in here. Let me see if I can find, well, I'm just going to go to create your own, customize your own. Let me do that first. So within this product, let's see, I can go to continue. And it's basically going to walk you through where you can choose your paper color. So if we're going to go yellow, you can choose an image. So you can upload an image. And if you want to upload the 1-888 cash offer image, you can. Let's see, I don't know if you can. I should probably make it easier for you guys to just download this, but you could save this letter as an image, and then of course you could crop it up to just this, and then you can use the logo, the 1-888 cash offer logo, and then you can upload it there as a graphic. And that's basically going to create a yellow letter that looks like this, right? You're going to have a graphic at the top, and then it's going to, I'll show you here in just a second, but then it's going to allow you to type out your letter. And I think once you type it out once, I believe you should be able to save it for future mailings. But it wants you to fill out your info. So you fill out your info, and then next. It's not going to let me move forward without it. But you kind of get the idea. You just got to walk through it and do it. But I do know that they do have a 65-cent product, and I believe it's called, oh, here it is. It's a naked mailer. And a naked mailer just means that they fold it and they print the info, the handwritten recipient, like who it's going to and their address. They print it on the outside of the letter, and then they just fold it. They tri-fold it. So there's no envelope. So it saves you some cost. And I think the cost it saves you is, if you're going to send out, here it is. So if you're going to send out 550 to 2,500, it's only going to cost you, 68, 69 cents, something like that, if you send it first class. So, and then you can get it down to 65 cents if you send out over 2,500. So, and if you send it standard postage, which I think is like, it may take like 2 weeks, standard postage, here it is. Yeah, 15 to 30 business days. Then they'll drop the cost on it further. That's a way you can do that. And again, you just go create your own. You just walk through the steps, and then you just got to type this in. I mean, it's simple stuff. You just got to do it, set it, and then save it. So I hope that helps. It's definitely worth it, though. This letter stands out, and you know, makes a big difference as far as lead generation on off-market exclusive deals with high margins. That's what you're looking for. Then this is, you know, this is just like any other business. You got to market. You got to market. And how are you going to market? Well, one of the best targeted ways that you can do that is with a letter campaign, because you can actually pull a list of homeowners, you know, and then you can actually send out a letter. So, and then that letter, it's got, you know, it's got some legs on it. It has a long life to it, because a lot of people, they'll get that letter, they'll hold on to it. Some will call right away. Others will hold on to it, and they'll call, you know, maybe days or weeks later. Some will hold on to it indefinitely until you send that second letter, that third letter before they call. So, but you got to be marketing. And that's one way to be able to do that. So if you think about it, if your average deal is about a 3% margin, 3% being on the ARV, if you're dealing with a $200,000 ARV, that's about $6,000. So you spend $1,000 in mailers to make $6,000 back. That's pretty good, right? That's 6 to 1. If you're in a higher ARV area, and that's just average. I mean, you could end up doing a 5% margin, could do 10% margins. But I'm just saying, typically on average, you're going to be somewhere between 3 and 5%. So if you're dealing with $500,000 ARVs, you know, 3% is 15,000. But I'd say in California, you know, even if you've got, well, I don't want to just say California, but that's the majority of where, you know, we're doing deals. If your ARVs are anywhere from, you know, 300 to $1 million, you know, on average, your margins are going to be about $20,000, $25,000 margins. So, which is pretty good. So, so again, whether it's for sale by owner, or if you're going to get a campaign going, or if you're going to go driving for dollars, you know, you can do that as well. All right. Well, we're about 35 minutes in. That's kind of what I wanted to open with. Does anybody have any other questions that they'd like to discuss or cover? See. And for those of you, has everybody generated a proof of funds letter yet? For those of you who haven't, it's under the funding tab, proof of funds. And then this is where you can fill this out. And then you can put in your amount. And then you can select your letter type. So if you've got a company and your name up there, you can do that. Click the box, and then you can move this up. And then you can hit submit and generate the proof of funds letter. You will need that in order to get your offers accepted with sellers. So that's there if you have not used it. Let's see, Mike says, can we use the video on the main page? Yeah, so what Mike's referring to, if you guys haven't seen this yet, either because, let me see. Let me make sure you guys can see my screen. Yeah, there we go. Can you guys see my screen okay? So what Mike's referring to is this is available to our gold members. our gold members, you know, have access to their own website, you know, email and phone number with the 1-888-CASH-OFFER brand. And so this 1-888-CASH-OFFER.com, and I'm going to go to, let's say, let's see if Mike has got one. Is this Mike's site? I wanted to bring up his since he's the one who brought it up. I'm not sure if Mike has customized his site at all. Let me do mine as an example. So here's my personal website, right? So my personal website has my extension here. So if you call 1-888-CASH-OFFER, it's going to ask for an extension. You push 101, it calls me, or it rings my cell phone. It rings whatever number I have in my profile settings, right? So I've got extension 101 in there. So what Mike's referring to as the video is you've got a credibility piece. So this is a seller testimonial where they actually talk about their experience with selling a house to a 1-888-CASH-OFFER member, which, you know, this was a deal that I did personally, and then we recorded the testimonial video. But they walk around here and around the house after it was rehabbed. And so everybody who's a gold member, which is, you know, a Fliplogic gold member, you have access to the brand, and this is one of your credibility pieces, right? You've got this website, which when you're sending out letters like the example here, or if it's at the bottom of your email, right? Because in a letter, you can have your website, right, which directs them to you. If it's at the bottom of your email footer, perhaps in your emails, you know, everybody wants to see your website. And when they look at your website, they're going to see that you've got credibility, and it makes them, it will make it easier for them to want to do business with you. Or if you're marketing your website, maybe on Facebook or Instagram, and you're putting up an ad, or maybe using that video, and you're driving them to your 1-888-CASHOFFER.com/Mike, then they fill out this lead form, and then those leads, any leads that were filled out on that lead form, are going to go into your My Site leads in your pipeline. So that's what you want to do, and then that way, you know, you're using it for one, whether they're doing business with you over the phone, you know, they check out your website and they pick up the phone, or maybe they go on there and they submit the lead form. But you need to have a presence online. You need to be branded. And so this will allow you to do that. You get your extension up there. You've got your name here. Do you want to sell your property? Call, you know, in this case, this one's mine. Call Ryan Kirk, my extension, and then your address. Maybe it's your mailing address or whatever it is. But you can have all that there, and you customize all that from your website builder. So from the website builder, you can add a video if you want. If you want to do a direct to video where you're talking to anybody who's visiting your site, you can do that. But that video is just defaulted in there for you to use. And then, of course, you can update your name here, your extension, whatever's assigned to you, and same with your address. So I hope that helps, Mike. That was a great question. Let's see. Let's see here. Mike says, make the M capital. Make the M capital on my name. Okay. So maybe it's case sensitive is what you have on there. If that's the case, I would suggest, let me see there. If it's case sensitive, which I'm not Yeah, it's case sensitive. Mike, I would suggest changing that to lowercase because that's crazy that it's that specific. Should ask our IT team about that. But I would change that to a lowercase because people don't type in caps. When they're putting in a web browser, they just type in lowercase. So I'd change that to a lowercase, but that's what I was talking about here. Mike's got his extension 118. Any lead that goes into there goes into his My Site leads. So he can see that there. It's got his extension here again. If he would have put his name in there, it would say call Mike and get paid. I think he's got us in there. And then he's just got Reno, Nevada there. So very nice. And then it's got all the other links here to, the 1-888-888 cash offer, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Google Plus, Yelp. Again, hey, it just gives you some credibility. And also it gives you this squeeze page and lead form for your lead funnel. If you're driving any traffic to here, maybe on social media, you can use that link. Maybe you're using it on Craigslist. Again, maybe you're using it on Facebook. Maybe you're using it in the Facebook marketplace or actually in feeds. Whatever you're doing, it's a place where you can drive motivated seller traffic to, and they're either going to fill out the lead form or they're going to pick up the phone and call you or maybe send you an email. But yeah, it's important to, but Mike, yes, you got the benefit of that video there. So I know that's a long ways away to go about that. And Mike's going to change that. And again, how Mike's going to do that is he's just going to go to website builder. And then he's going to go to, is he going to go to website builder? Yeah. So he's going to go to website builder, and down here in the reference, he's just going to change it from, he's got it as capital M-I-K-E. He's just going to change it to lower M-I-K-E. And then when he does that, his site will go live. As soon as he hits publish, it'll go live. And now, he's got his website going. Cool. All right. Well, let's see. We are 45 minutes in. Anybody else have any other questions? Let's see if anybody's got any other questions before we sign off here. I don't want to leave anybody out. Nice night, huh? Man, very nice. This was the wettest, coldest winter we've had in a long time. I haven't been able to do any shows up here because of that, and also because it was getting so dark so soon. But it's nice to be up here. Yeah, I want to do eventually do a mastermind and invite a few of you guys out. We'll do it up here on the top deck, but until then, we'll get together this way. All right, guys. Well, I don't want to hold anybody else up. If nobody else has any other questions, we will wrap the show. All right. Well, very good. As always, if you guys, if you do want to, do a little further education, continued education, go into the classroom, I've got 40 case study deals there that I talk you through. And I've got that acquisition training if you haven't watched that yet. So until then, you all have a great evening. This is Ryan Kirk signing off, and I will catch up with you all next week, same time, same place, Monday at 6:30. All right, everybody, be well. Take care.